Today we got something a little different. March Madness is coming up, and I'm really starting to take a deep dive into these NBA draft prospects and these mock boards and these big boards. And as I was doing a little bit of searching, a little bit of scouring, I came across somebody that I feel like is way too low on a lot of draft boards. As I'm sure you saw in the title and thumbnail, today we're going to be talking about Baylor guard Carr. Now, you might know and you might have heard of his teammate Tande Yesufu, who is a little bit higher on draft boards, I think mocked right outside of the lottery as of today. But I personally think Carr, I think he's a better player and a better prospect, to be honest. I mean, obviously age is a thing. Right now, Carr is 21. By the time next season starts after the draft, he'll be 22, a bit on the older side for an NBA draft prospect. But when you watch his game and you look at what he does on the floor, I don't see why he can't be right outside the lottery, maybe even in the lottery. I mean, at 6'5", a little bit thin at 175, but he has a 7'1" wingspan, and you can really see that when you watch him play on the floor. I just watched him play yesterday against Arizona. He had an amazing game. They almost pulled off the upset against Arizona, and he was really the leader in that charge. But I mean, NBA range, super athletic. I mean, it pops off the screen once you watch him. Super athletic. Another thing that I noticed that I liked, he's a solid passer out of the PNR as a ball handler, especially with a pocket pass. He has a really nice pocket pass. Obviously, like I said, NBA range, but with that, he's a great movement shooter, coming off screens, coming off down screens, flare screens, you name it. And like I said, last night I watched him up against Arizona. He took on the challenge of guarding Burries. He did okay. He had some moments where he just looked lazy and kind of let him blow by. And obviously you want to kind of sag off. Burries is one of the quicker guards in the country. But at the same time, you can't just, once he blows by, you can't just give up on the play. But also with that, like I said, his 7'1" wingspan and his amazing athletic ability allows him to be a great shot blocker at the wing/guard position. And I think once he adds a little bit more to his frame, a little bit more muscle, he can really be a 3-and-D wing or 3-and-D guard on a really good championship team. And I personally think with his offensive tools, he could probably be the second or third best player on the championship team. Now, of course, no prospect is perfect. Like I mentioned before, he has some defensive lapses at times where it just looks like he's uninterested or not really engaged. Like I said, sometimes he gives up some blow-bys and, just kind of gives up on the play. Sometimes when he gets the ball, I saw a time last night, he hadn't gotten the ball on offense in a couple possessions. He gets, I think, a steal. Off the steal, he's coming down the court. It's a 2-on-1. Typically, if you see a teammate in front of you, you pass it back. You pass it up so you could possibly get it back. He just took it to the rim. Granted, he got the layup, but there was also another time in that same situation, he kind of went through the entire Arizona team and got blocked, and they came down on the other end and got a bucket. I think he can get better as a self-creator. Obviously, right now, I think he can score it at all three levels and honestly get to his spot in 2 to 3 dribbles, whether that's a mid-range or going straight to the rim. And like I said, obviously, great shooter off the catch and shoot and even off the dribble a little bit. But I do think there is a little bit more to be desired in that department. And of course, with being a self-creator, especially at the NBA level and drawing double teams and, getting a lot of attention, you have to also be able to play make. And right now, his assist to turnover ratio, I believe, is sitting at like a 1.13 or something like that. Not too good for somebody that you could possibly get a ball to and let him go to work. But these are all things that obviously I think that he can continue to work on. Like I said, he's on the older side of a draft prospect who, like I said, will be 22 when the season starts next year. But I think he still has room to improve, and he still has that time to improve. 22 is old draft prospect wise, but I feel like in the grand scheme of the NBA, 22 is not an old player. And especially with his skill set, I mean, he could immediately come in and contribute to a playoff team, a championship team with his tools now. And then, as he progresses, as he gets better, he moves up the rotation. Eventually could possibly become your starting 2, your starting 3. And I mean, I'm just going to be completely honest. I see him as a late lottery pick. I think if you're a team like the Bucks, who may be sitting in the late lottery, or even if you're a team sitting right outside the lottery, like a Miami Heat, a Golden State, I think he would be really good. In Detroit, I think that's a really good fit for him. I think also Denver is a really good fit for him, although they are a little bit later in the first round. But I think he has a lot of teams that he could possibly go to and just make an immediate impact And like I said, down the line could possibly become a star. I think he has star potential in this league with his tools. He has an NBA offensive game. Defensively, obviously, like I said, there's some more work to do. But, I mean, at 22, we could probably kind of see like a Jalen Brunson kind of rise where maybe he sits behind a star or a really good player for, a couple years. We see the potential there. He has some really great games, shows a lot of potential at possibly being a number 1 or a number 2 on a team. And, he goes into free agency or maybe even gets traded and we see him turn into a star in this league. I mean, we've seen it in this league before, and I think Cameron Carr could be another case of that. If I had to put an NBA comp on it, I'm thinking like a smaller Trey Murphy, or if we want to keep it about the same size, I think he could be like a Devin Vassell, maybe even a little bit better than Devin Vassell. But if I had to give a comp, I would probably give those two comps right there. But yeah, man, like I said, watch out for Cameron Carr. I don't think Baylor's going to get in the tournament, unfortunately, because I think he could really boost his stock there. But watch out for him in the summer and the combines, summer league, that kind of thing. And I mean, just keep him on your radar, man. Like I said, I've been really tapped into college basketball lately, so I got plenty more prospect videos, maybe even some March Madness videos coming in the near future. So if you like this type of content, man, this is where you need to be, man. Make sure you sub up, you know what I'm saying? Like the video if you haven't already. It's been your boy Corey from Between 94, and I'm out.